Here is an easy project you can do to improve the comfort of your hammock. We're going to make a continuous loop like this that goes into the end of a gathered end sewn channel hammock, and it features this little function. The loop that gathers the fabric is non-closing. So we call this a non-closing continuous loop. Basically what we're looking at here is a diamond knot, a lock Brummel splice, and a length of am steel. This one is small. It's from a trail seat hammock that I made. So let's make one that will work with most gathered in hammocks. We start off with 34 inches of 7/64 am steel. We have it folded in half with one piece extending 6 inches longer than the other one, right here. And then we control the strands 17 inches back from that end, or we could say 3 inches from the folded end. And this is where we'll tie that diamond knot. So we just take a strand, flip it like this. See? Just like that. And then take this strand and put a loop through that little loop that you made. So like that. And then we're going to take this piece of the strand, go around the whole thing. Let me get this all tidied up. Go around the whole thing, and then it goes back through the loop that it made itself. So now we can close all this up, pull it all snug, and we have the beginnings of the diamond knot. In another video, I showed you guys how to do the universal loop, and this is the same knot that we tied with the universal loop. And so now we have to take this strand right here, go around the knot, come up through the center, and then we got to take this strand and go around the knot and come up through the center. So the way that I do that to make it easy, I just hold my loop like this and go in through the center of the knot with the splicing tool. And then I can go over here to the right, grab my strand, go around, and give it to my splicing tool. So as you can see, I'm accomplishing that part of the diamond knot. Then I can pull it through. And then just flip it. Just go like this, flip it, and then go back in with your splicing tool. And then do the same thing. Go over to the right, grab your strand, and pull it up in there. If you tied the diamond knot before, this kind of becomes second nature eventually. But see, now we can pull those two strands up, let them start to form the knot. Squeeze it in our hand like this. Good thing to do is pull on these strands. Pull on these two. See, there it is. It's starting to look like a nice round diamond knot. So next, we're going to go to the ends of our line at 2.5 inches. Don't worry, 2.5 inches is more than enough. And we're going to do a locked Brummel. So as you can see, we got one short, one long. That's okay. Just start at 2.5 and do a locked Brummel splice. Start by going one strand through the other, and then continue by going into the strand that exits that splice that you made. We're just making this part. So we got the lock Brummel, super easy. Just one strand through the other, moving this direction, not that direction, otherwise they'll fall apart. So now we have our lock Brummel, and we're going to bury the strands back inside. So just enter with your splicing tool, come out by the lock Brummel, and pull that strand back inside of itself. See, there it is. Just grab it in the splicing tool, pull it in. We got one leg done. Now we're going to do this one. up to the lock Brummel, grab that strand, and we are so close to being done. Oh yeah. So there it is. So this looks a lot like a universal loop, huh? Basically the same type of thing. We've added more am steel here. We've added a little bit more up here because this loop is going to be shortened. So we can peel our tape off here. So there it is. We made one. And so look at my original one. It's a little different, but you can adjust all of these different dimensions yourself easily. Like if you have a really wide hammock or something, or you just maybe you don't need all of this. But the reason we did the lock Brummel part here instead of up here, like on a universal loop, is because we want a nice lark's head up here. And if we do the lock Brummel up at the top, the lark's head won't work as good. And so we make the lark's head like I showed you there, and then we pull this through, close the lark's head up. And so now the gathered end of your hammock, this loop is inside of the sewn channel, and the fabric can move around like this and accommodate head left or feet left lay, and you still have enough left to use like a buckle. And that's why we didn't do the lock Brummel at the ends, because if you're using buckles, they wouldn't work. You can see this is one of the common buckles out there that a lot of people use. So we kept the lock Brummel at the other side. However, if you wanted to, you could modify my instructions and fold it so that the two ends just meet instead of overlap. So you could just have the ends meet up here, do a lock Brummel right there. And if you're just tying a Beckett hitch or doing something else, you wouldn't need to do that. And so yeah, you can also do a smaller continuous loop by going this direction, but it wouldn't help your hammock as much. So now I'll show you how this works. So here we have a little trail seat hammock, and I have one of my non-closing loops in there. There's the diamond knot, there's the lark's head, and you can see that loop doesn't close up. So this is a trail seat, so like when you sit in it, your shoulders are right about here, and then this part is tied up on the tree. When you sit in this hammock, you can feel these ends of the hammock open up and reduce the shoulder squeeze on your shoulders. But if this was a full-size hammock, say you were laying in it, you see how the fabric can go to one side? So if you're laying in it and you put pressure on this side, it can move like that. If you put pressure on this side, it can move like that. So it creates a slight asymmetrical feel. And of course, like when you're in your hammock, it's going to try to center up like that. So you might think that, well, that's not going to make much of a difference for me. But since the fabric can move a little bit, if your feet are over here and your head and you're pushing on this fabric, you're going to get like a 1/2 inch or 1 inch of fabric movement up here, but that's going to equal a lot of extra fabric over here for your head or your foot. Like for example, let's say we move this thing right here a 1/4 of an inch. So from that little line right there to that little dot, we move that a 1/4 of an inch. But look at how much that moved up here. So that's what's going on when you have a non-closing loop. You get a little bit more fabric here, and that creates a nice radius out here, and you can feel a pocket. And yeah, it's just a pretty simple thing you can do for your hammock. If you have a long enough continuous loop, you can actually take your continuous loop and tie a knot in it if you want to. It will derate the rope a little bit, but not enough to make a problem. But you could tie a knot like that in your continuous loop and make a lark's head and do like what we did with that diamond knot. Yep. And I know some people are going to say, well, the knot derates the rope. That's not a big deal with hammock suspension, because remember, guys, this am steel that we use, it handles this type of abuse. We use these buckles all the time, and that tight radius and the metal on am steel contact, it still performs fine. And I'm not saying these buckles aren't worth your time. I'm just telling you guys that because a lot of people get upset about the knots and the derating of the rope. But guys, the am steel handles all types of abuse in our hammock suspension, so you'll be fine. So there you go. That's how you can make a non-closing continuous loop for your hammock. If you have a set of my universal loops, you can try this. This part won't quite be as long, but it will still give you the non-closing function. You just flip the lark's head into it after you pass it through your hammock, and then you allow that lark's head to close up against the knot. Just like that. See you guys later. Thanks for watching.